Our guest today on the Being Human podcast is David Kessler. David is one of the world's leading experts on grief. He is the founder of grief.com and author of the book, Finding Meaning, the Sixth Stage of Grief. If someone is watching this right now and they've just lost their job, let's start there. What is the very first thing that you would want them to know?
I would want them to know that this is real grief. I always define grief as a change we didn't want. And a job loss is a huge change. And one of the things as I work with companies, it's interesting, we have so many employee protection things in terms of make sure the person has been told areas they can improve in, given warnings, they see this coming. When it comes to executives, they often don't see it coming. They're just brought in. There's a payout. We're going to say you're leaving, but the truth is you were fired, or maybe it was you were fired very openly. And not only do you have the grief, but the broadsidedness of it can almost make it a bit of traumatic grief you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Just hearing you describe it, it is so devastating, and it can be so public for executives. So, is it normal for a job loss to trigger full blown grief?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, our identity. I mean, literally last night I was at a dinner and the host said, let's sort of tell everyone about ourselves without our jobs. And it was almost impossible for everyone. That's kind of who we are. And so when suddenly you have lost that identity, that's the identity. You're the breadwinner, you're the caretaker, you're the provider, and suddenly it's gone. And who are you? And people have enormous difficulty with it. And we have to act like we're fine. We're fine. We're going to be okay. We're going to land on our feet. And inside, we're probably not that fine.
Oh, 100%. And you make a great point about identity, because so many of us our jobs are our whole identity. That has to make recovering from a job loss and recovering from grief a lot more complicated.
Absolutely. The idea of, and I'm not a big believer in recovering. I think we learn to sort of live with these falls that we have to go through in life. And hopefully we can find a way, and this is what's really hard for people, we have to feel those feelings. Like, it's not what we're used to doing. We have to feel those feelings to allow the sadness, the anger, the upset to really flow through us so that we can get to a place to really figure out what's next for us.
You mentioned earlier about how sometimes these job losses, they're public and they are embarrassing and they trigger shame. Shame has to be quite a difficult thing to navigate at the same time as well.
Well, shame needs secrecy to survive. And some of us have internal shame that we feel like we just feel shame for being fired, even though maybe it's not public, all the way to the other extreme where it was very public and we were almost publicly shamed. So it does complicate grief in enormous ways.
So for a lot of high performers, they go, the clients that I see in my office as well, they just want to get through it as fast as they possibly can. They beat themselves up for not being able to get through it faster. How does unacknowledged grief, and it's unacknowledged if you're rushing through it, how does that turn up later, David?
Well, we bring that job, our wounded self, to our future. And I like to show up for my future in the present as clear as I can be, not worrying about what happened, going to happen again. We need to go through the grief and actually not just go through it, but grow through it. That's so much more powerful than just sort of pretending it doesn't hurt. We need to let it hurt a bit and figure out how we can serve ourselves, our family, and our career.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about letting it hurt, and the 5 stages of grief. And I know you've worked so closely with the lady behind the 5 stages of grief, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. How does it turn up? If you're a professional, you've lost your job, you're freaking devastated.
Right.
What do the 5 stages of grief look like in that context?
Denial. I can't believe they let me go. I can't believe they're letting us go. I can't believe the new company, whatever it may be. That's the I can't believe is the denial. Then after that, often, and these don't have to be linear, they can happen in the same hour. It's anger. I'm furious this happened. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at them. Bargaining, all the what ifs. If only I'd done that, oh, I should have gotten closer to that, new owner, or I should have done this, all the what ifs and if onlys. Then we have the depression, which is really the sadness. And we also have to, little by little, accept this is the reality. Maybe not fair, maybe not right, maybe not the way we would have done it, but it is the reality. And my work is to hopefully help people experience all of those in their own way, in their own time, and then maybe go on to, after we release some of this pain, find meaning for this to be not post-traumatic stress, but post-traumatic growth. How can we become bigger in our next job? There's a lot of people who really, you see how they just truly grew through adversity, grew through their failures, really took their failures and realized maybe they weren't failures. Maybe they were that career, that job for that amount of time, and now it's time for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And not many people get through their entire careers unscathed when it comes to job losses as well. So keep that in mind. You mentioned that it's not linear. Tell us a little bit more about that, because people think they're going to go through these 5 discrete stages all in order, and then they beat themselves up because it's not unfolding that way.
Yeah, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who is the pioneer in this area, she really, talked about grief is messy. Grief is organic. We're not going to neatly grieve. And a lot of times, the more we push it down, the more it comes up. So we do want to acknowledge it and let it happen. If 1 minute, I say constantly to people, you are not crazy, you're in grief. Because they're like, wait a minute, one moment I'm angry, the next moment I'm sad. What's going on with me? I used to be so spot on and controlled, and now I don't know what's going on. This is what grief looks like.
Yeah, that control can be taken away pretty quickly and pretty easily. So what about the 6th stage of grief? You have a new book called Finding Meaning, and you say that after the grief, there are lessons that we can take away. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. There's, whether it's a death, a divorce, a job loss, all of those things that happen in our life, we have to experience them. Just like you said, they are part of life. No one gets out of this world unscathed. I talk about whether it's the death rate is 100%. We're going to have ups and downs in our careers. That's part of life. And so if we can find ways to take this, and one of the things that's confusing when people hear meaning is they think there's no meaning in a horrible death. There's no meaning in a career loss. There's no meaning in a job loss, a divorce. I always say, correct. Meaning is not in the horrible experience that happened, the thing that happened. Meaning is in us. It's what we do after the loss happened. It's who we become. And for executives, it is a moment to really decide who you want to be after this. And many times, if it's maybe not the executive, we're looking at the workforce. How can we deal with their losses, deal with changes in their life in a more humane, compassionate way?
Yeah. Life is messy, isn't it?
Life is messy. We
The
all
sooner
learn.
we accept it, yeah. Sooner we accept it, the better off we're going to be. So just give into it. I think it's really cool, David, that you're the world's leading expert on grief. I'm just going to put it out there and say it. You're the founder of grief.com, and now you have an AI on the website that guides people through events that are really upsetting them. And it's like having you at their fingertips. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's interesting. I would get so many media requests from the big newspapers. How do you feel about someday getting replaced by AI? And at a certain point, I would answer the questions the same way, that AI is never going to bring you a casserole or hold your hand or tell you look a little sad today. AI can't do that. However, AI is really good with knowledge. And I noticed when I started seeing how AI worked with grief, it took the best things you can find on grief. It also took the most random viral thing that isn't a healthy thing, but went viral. So I really wanted AI to have really pure knowledge about grief. So my AI has studied purely my work, my books, my lectures, thousands of them from over the years. And we did try to make it like you're talking to me and give you some support. Not everything you'll need, but it really does help for people to normalize something that we don't feel like we have anyone to talk to about a lot of the time.
Oh my goodness, what a wonderful use of AI to get the facts out there on grief and not be wondering if what you're going through is normal or what's happening. What's your final words of advice, David, for anyone who's watching this, who may have lost their job, maybe feeling a bit lost and upset right now? What do you say to them?
Here's the challenging thing. It's against everything we sort of have embodied, that you're not that job. You're not that one job. You're the person that brought the talent to the job. And all that talent stays inside of you, and you get to bring it to the next one. But don't bring the old job there. Do your grief work first.
I can't tell you how much I love that. Thank you so much. David Kessler, founder of grief.com and author of The Sixth Stage of Grief, Finding Meaning. The link to that book and to grief.com and to the AI tools on David's website will be in the description below. David, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.